What is a 4-3 and a 3-4 base defense? I'll explain it in less than a minute. So let's talk about it. So defenses like cover 2, cover 3, man under, and a lot of those type of defenses that I covered in the past, they're not really base defenses. They're more like coverage concepts. Base defenses really cover the defensive line and the linebacking unit. So in a 4-3, you have 4 down linemen, as in guys that are actually on the ground with their hands in the line of scrimmage. And then typically you have 3 linebackers, 2 outside, 1 middle. 3-4 is pretty much the opposite. 2 defensive end and a nose tackle. And then you have 4 linebackers. The first number represents the down linemen and the second number represents the number of linebackers. Hence 3-4 and 4-3. It's pretty split down the middle as far as what NFL teams runs what base defense. In this case, 14 NFL teams run some type of 3-4 defense. One thing to note about this list is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears. They both have edge rushers in Khalil Mack and TJ Watt. Technically, they're listed as linebackers, but they're also considered edge rushers. Having talent like that can really make the 3-4 defense very effective. I can file for part 2, so I can explain the differences. Cover 2 defense, what is it and why do defenses use it? Let's talk about it. So traditional cover 2 zone defense usually has 2 safeties that are deep. You have 2 outside cornerbacks and then 3 linebackers. But the linebackers and the corners, they're pretty much underneath guys to keep everything contained within the flats. The Tampa 2 is a variation of the cover 2 that was revolutionized by this man, Monty Kiffin, in the early 2000s. Hence why they call it the Tampa 2. One of the weaknesses in a traditional cover 2, as you can see here, is where the blue spots are at. The areas on the outside of the safeties and behind the corners are weaknesses. It's also weak in the middle. That's why seam routes by tight ends are very effective against the cover 2. In order for cover 2 to be effective, you need your 2 corners to play outside leverage and funnel everything in the middle towards the safeties. What makes the Tampa 2 so effective is this guy right here, the middle linebacker. He can drop back into coverage and effectively turn into a cover 3. So pre-snap reads, the quarterback thinks it's a cover 2, but really it's cover 3 disguised. Derek Brooks was very good at that. He actually got 6 picks in one season as a result. Let me know if you guys want to see more content. NFL dime defense, what is it? Let's talk about it. Simply put, a dime defense is any formation when you have 6 defensive backs. It's called a dime because, well, that's the next coin up after a nickel. This is usually ran with 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, and 6 DBs. The 6th DB, in this case number 4, he can play as a linebacker or he can blitz or he can go back into coverage. This guy is very important because the quarterback essentially doesn't know what he's going to do pre-snap. Dime coverage is very essential in today's NFL. That's because a lot of teams are running the spread formation with 4 wide receivers. So it can be very effective against a team with a heavy passing attack. Obviously, knowing when to use this defense is important. You probably wouldn't want to run this defense against like Tennessee, the Patriots, or Baltimore because they run so much. And those offenses typically don't run the spread formation as much as other teams. You might have guessed it, the weakness for this formation is the running attack, because you essentially have 1 true linebacker. So defenses have to be very wise when choosing when to use this formation. Let me know what defense you want to see next. Nickel defense, what is it? Why do teams use it? Let's talk about it. As we all know, a nickel is worth 5 cents. In the nickel defense, you have 5 defensive backs, hence the name. So in this particular case, you have 2 outside corners, 2 safeties, and then the nickel back is right here. There's a lot of variations with this defense, but the most important thing is that you need 5 defensive backs. Teams use the nickel defense when there's at least 3 receivers, in this case 1, 2, 3. Because linebackers are naturally not great cover guys because they're slower, it allows you to swap out a linebacker for a defensive back and play out in coverage. The beauty of the nickel defense is that it allows you to play man or zone concepts. This nickel back right here can do so much. He can blitz, he can stay and protect the flats, or he can drop back into coverage. The Seahawks are very good at using Jamal Adams in this scheme because he's an excellent tackler. He can blitz and drop back into coverage. Like every defense, it does have its weakness. Because you only have 6 or less players in the box, it's susceptible to the run. And a very good slot receiver can torch this defense as well. Let me know what defense you guys want to see next.